think my protagonist has just become an antagonist. So one of my heroes in my series has just become a major villain, and I don't know how to deal with that because the shift from hero to villain was so smooth, and I just snuck in the words, and I'm not sure how I feel because she was supposed to have been good throughout the entire series, and now she's gone very dark, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna write her moving forward. So as you know, Heathens is deals with magical systems. That's Heathens right there. So it deals with magical systems, witches, warlocks, that sort of thing. But it also deals with a lot of chaos within the systems where we have different worlds of witches and warlocks, and they all live in their own worlds, and I call them clans. And within their clans, there is a lot of infighting, and there's a lot of treachery, backstabbing, just like you would get in the human world, so in the Saba world. But in their world, it's a lot more dangerous because there's magic involved, which means, everyone's life is at risk. So the aim for today was just to work on this bit of writing that I had done, polish it up, just try and get it as close as possible so I can actually send it off and figure out how I want it to end, because the way it's gone so far, because my antagonist or my protagonist has become an antagonist, that sort of changed her role within the series, and I have to make sure that I write her in a very tight and in a way that makes sense for the viewer and for the reader as well. So this is my character. Her name is Pia. There's Pia. And this is what I'm working on today. In the front room of the High Rama's residence, several people were gathered engaging in conversation. There was a quiet calm, peppered with slightly excitable chatter. His rooms were lavish and expensive. And so the guests spawned the entirety of the property. There was constant movement as the guests made their way in and out of the room. Men, women, all mixed. That's editing, that's my editor. Dressed in their finest attire, their over-scented bodies releasing a clash of smells. So, this is where I tell a story, which works very well. And then this is where my protagonist suddenly goes dark. So, this is about 3,018 words, so it's not too bad. But it's just about getting it right, because this character is very, very key to the series, and it doesn't say it yet, but a lot of the storylines are all around her as a character. So I need to make sure that this scene goes absolutely smoothly, because I was writing her in a certain way, and it's almost like she stood up, looked at me and said, "What are you doing? You're making me a bit..." Because in the first book she was a bit always down in the dumps and always depressed and whatever, but in the second book it seems like she's woken up with a villainous streak. So it's almost like she said to me, I don't like the way you're writing me. I want something more exciting. And here we are. I'm having to change the entire thing. Treachery will be exposed for all who knew you. Your treachery will be exposed for all who know you to see. So your followers who tout you as a great High Rama with the amazing gift will see for the lying viper you are. using blood magic from a rogue heathen to kill. What a treacherous coward you are. Oh wow, yeah, she really goes dark. Okay. So I've realised that the end of the chapter is a bit too short. It's a bit too... Because I think I have an entire 2,000 something words, so quite high intensity. And then suddenly it's over and it's very wrapped up. And I wonder if there should be some sort of, awareness or some sort of recognition from this character, Pia, about what she's done and what's happened and how her villainy is going to affect her moving forward. Because don't forget, this is a character who has always been pious, who has always gone by the book. They've always followed all the rules. And suddenly they deviated from that rule following and they're just suddenly going completely rogue. And I wonder if there should be some sort of self-reflection, or if I should just let her step into a new role and just say this is who she is. Maybe perhaps this is who she always was, So the whole premise around Heathens, I want to say it's a refuge. It's a refuge for them, where those who have been abandoned, those whose who were adopted by non-witches and warlocks, have realised that they are who they are, and they're terrified they've been abandoned by their adoptive parents. Those whose parents have been killed, they go to this building here. It's near by the River Thames in London, and they're welcome there. And there's one house for boys, males, and one house for females. And then they have warlocks, very powerful warlocks and witches, overseeing them. But outside of the world is, like I said before, is an entire world of different clans of witches and warlocks. And my inspiration for this was growing up in Nigeria, growing up in Africa, and seeing all the different tribes and their way of dress and their way of living, and just starting to imagine within those different tribes were all these secret clans of witches and warlocks. So I've always carried that with me, and this is why this is a project that I sort of have to finish now, because it's something that's very ingrained in my childhood. Oh dear, my tea's getting cold. So today I'm trying to add an extra, just 500 words, nothing heavy, nothing, just to tidy it up a bit and get the language a lot smoother. I mean, my editor's going to go through it, but get the language a lot smoother, just get it more concise. And what I'm starting to realise is that the focus of the series and the books might move to her, because she was an underdog, and like I said, she's not that anymore. So I'm trying to add, so I'm at 3,018 words. I'm trying to finish at 3,500 or 600 words, so let's see how that goes. And show, love, so we'll just kind of savage. Only she eventually rejected him. A young and unknown to society warlock called Heathens. It was said that he confronted the duo on the streets with some of his friends. And I like the sentence. It was said that he confronted the duo on the streets with some of his friends. Something's a bit wrong with that sentence, but I can't figure it out. Intent on challenging the Saharan warlock. I'm going to mark that for my editor. I have something here about a flock of vultures, but do vultures work in flocks? I've got to do a bit of research about vultures. A flock of vultures. What's a flock of vultures called? A group of vultures is called a committee, a venue, or vault. Okay, so I'm supposed to use kettle of vultures. So a group of vultures soaring together in flight. Fascinating. A kettle of vultures. Kettle of vultures. So a kettle, that becomes kettle. Memorize suffer terrible injuries. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I'm slightly short. I'm going to try and scroll in. I'm slightly short of 3.5. I'm actually at 3.441 words, but they are good words and I'm happy with them. So I'm going to leave them as they are, and I'm going to have a break for today. So, I mean, when you say, usually I try to work on more words, but for me it's more about the quality of the writing as opposed to reaching word count. And I'm happy with the way the storyline is going. I'm really happy with it. So I'm happy with the way the word count is going. I'm really happy. Obviously, I try to focus more on the quality of the words as opposed to the quantity. If it happens to be shorter than I was expecting, that's fine as well. But I've read through it. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the direction this character is going in. She did throw me for a loop. And this is what happens when you're writing. You think your character is going to be a certain way, but as the book or the story evolves, your character starts to deviate from the pattern or the path you set up for them, and they just start to do their own thing. And I think you can either go with the character and give them some form of guidance and control, or you can just let them run wild, or you can try and keep them as you wanted to initially, but I think that can be a bit boring, and sometimes you want to see how the character evolves throughout the series. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this video and this writing, and let me know if there are any ways that you feel that this new format can be improved. Okay, bye.